Testing, testing, testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3, testing. Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's RHJunior again, calling to you once again over the system of tubes. We call the inner tube. We call it YouTube. Bringing to you the live bloviations of myself in a little thing I like to call spleen squeezins. We're not going to have any music today because YouTube's playback system completely sucks. I'm not lying, folks. It's totally messed up. I don't know what the heck's wrong with YouTube today. They're owned by Google. That's for starters. That's a really good starting explanation for anything wrong. Check and see who owns it. And apparently, the Social Justice Warrior Brigade, the Civic Minded 5, the yeah. Well, there's not going to be any music today because YouTube is sucking again. And there's not going to be any candy testing. I got kind of depressed last night and ate the last of them. For the record, let's see. I had the wrappers here somewhere. Let's see. The Crunch Bar, the Crunchy Bar, that's the actual name. The Dairy Milk Bar and the Dairy Milk Caramel Bar, they're basically just plain chocolate. Plain chocolate, not much to them. Well, the Dairy Milk Bar had caramel filling. Bit chewy, is a bit, in America when you get a candy bar with caramel filling, it's runny. It's liquid almost. It's pretty much liquid, just in the center of the candy bar. But when you get it, apparently in Great Britain, it's a lot more solid. The Star Bar had a peanut butter core, crispy chocolate, and a layer of chewy caramel in between. It just didn't float my boat. So I have to say, grand sum total, the Picnic Bar. After all those tastes, there was another bar here. I forget which name it was. I lost the wrapper. It was called the Violet. It had a honeycomb kind of filling. They called it. They called it honeycomb, but what it was really is just basically. It had a similar texture to Violet Crumble, if you've ever had one of those. Which is another British candy bar, which doesn't tell you. It crackles and crunches. Made an error there. Having a little trouble with things. I'm always having trouble with this stuff. It's nothing new. Ruining my teeth, I swear. Waiting thoughts on a Gmail email. Ouch. Netflix, you come back. Nice. Too bad they never had suck. I need some Anbesol. I have basically rotted. It just rotted away. Literally, it fell out, broke, crackled, crumbled, and came out. And there's a little bit of root left, and that's starting to, ache. Only a matter of time before bits and pieces that are left in there come out. I expected, I expected to be in a lot more pain from my teeth than I am. I don't know. I've got a couple of teeth that are broken, and one that's just completely rotted out, fell out. A piece at a time too. That's the nasty. You're sitting there eating lunch on a crunch, and you spit out a piece of your tooth, and you're just like, ah, crap. I've been fortunate that I haven't, been in like root canal pain or, the socket aches a bit, but other than that, I'm okay. I've been trying to look at alternatives to YouTube, and we're talking some serious suckage out there. There's nothing other than YouTube, really. There's a thing coming out called VidMe, VIDME, but they don't have live stream. So that's sort of... Well, I'm trying to, it's kind of short on topics to talk about. Oh, in the news, sheriff in Texas basically made an announcement. Basically, if you try and knock over statues in Texas, any person, any licensed person with a firearm can shoot you. He posted, not to say that anybody would be out there knocking over statues, but as a hypothetical. If someone were to attack one of our monuments, that would qualify as a crime under several different categories. Public mischief, malicious mischief, vandalism, etc., etc. And it just so happens that there are several provisions for defense of life and property, including public property. And so basically, you try and knock over you knock over a Confederate statue you knock over a Confederate statue in Texas, expect to get lead poisoning and for the judge to laugh at you. Expect to, at the very least, to be picking buckshot out of your backside. Funny, I don't think they're going to have too many problems with Antifa in Texas. Do you? Yeah. Alright. We got one person in here. I think it's me. Let's see. Let's see. I got so much to work on, but I'm not going to pick something. Ouch. My foot. My documents. Commissions. Okay, I think I've got a couple of, I've got a few strips that I've got to do for my brain stopped working. My documents, commissions. Where are my commissions? There we go. A couple of old Vic strips. Old Vic 57. Let me switch this over. I tend to get real quiet when I'm drawing. I get real quiet when I'm drawing. I'm not very good at the whole talking and drawing thing. I've seen quick clips of other people that do these you know, live stream drawing sessions. Most of them pre-recorded. I've seen several of them pre-recorded and played back super fast. Yakety sax time, you know. And I could do that, I suppose. I could probably do that. That would probably, you know, pre-record it. It's an interesting thought. There are these other people. They do these whiteboard lectures where they draw a comic. You know, they record a lecture and then they draw a comic to match what the guy's talking about. You've seen those, I'm sure. You know, and they play back the drawing. The drawing part is like at double or triple time. So that you know, but anyway, and I'm like, I'm not sure I could do that. I would, you know, I don't think it'd work for me. No. I swear, the press is really out to pull a fast one, you know? Headline in a couple of papers today. You know, man plows car into protesters at transsexual's funeral. Not even remotely true. You would not believe. And what they left out is, one, the transsexual in question, the she-male in question, had died because the police had shot her. Him. Whatever. She had stabbed one of her neighbors, and then charged at the police, waving the knife, the butcher knife she had stabbed her neighbor with. So they shot her, and they were having a funeral for her, and a bunch of people were out there blocking traffic again, trying to warm up to some sort of riot. And the guy in question wasn't ramming his car into them. He was just commuting to work, and they were blocking the way, and he was at walking speed. He drove through at walking speed, trying to get past these rioters who were attacking his car. And in case they've forgotten, the courts have already ruled that if they obstruct traffic, they're breaking the law, and if they attack it, mow them. They basically told people if they're obstructing traffic illegally, don't stop for them. Keep going. In fact, mow them down. But they're trying to play it up like it's they have a narrative. It was the Nazis again. It's a damn shame, Back in 1945, when the Nazis were actually a serious problem. Back in the 1940s, when the Nazis were an actual problem, the left was too busy loving all over them. Heck, Hitler made the cover of Time magazine. Seems like the only way they can actually bring themselves to condemn evil is after it's a movement that's not been a threat in 40 years. I'm surprised they actually I'm surprised that the communists actually got criticized in the last Indiana Jones movie. Now that their empire has been dead for about a couple of decades, they can bring themselves say, "Gee, maybe the Soviet Empire wasn't this terrific idea after all." Going out on a limb there. Don't strain yourself. My, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Okay, give me a breakdown on the audio. Is the audio too loud? Is my voice too loud? Too soft? Give me something. Because I need to know. I had somebody complain I, talk too loud and like, my ears. And, I did not know this. You see, because my sound system, okay, my audio goes, first of all, it goes through the microphone I'm wearing, through my headphones, which has its own volume control. Then it goes through your computer, which has, a central main audio volume control. And then it goes through a program called Minicam, which has its own audio controls and volume controls. And then it goes through Adobe Flash Media Live Encoder, which has, you guessed it, volume controls again. So, okay, my voice is a little loud. I'm going to turn down my voice just a little bit. Turn down my voice just a little bit. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, ladies. We are here for your daughters. I love that animated GIF right there. The floating animated brain from space. It's from space because you can tell because it's floating and it's got all those little dealy bob things floating around it. I'll rest here a minute. Once again, last night, I finished up my stuff about 1 in the morning. I thought, okay, I got to. I really should get up and go to bed. And voila, the instant that I thought that, bonk, and I wake up, it's it's like 6 a.m. Crap. I really need to sleep lying down because I need to sleep lying down largely because of my legs. Sleeping sitting in a chair is kind of not so hot anyway for the health. And but my legs, I need to elevate them on a regular basis, keep them elevated for at least a couple hours a day. And I've not been doing that. Especially not regularly. But at least if I sleep at night, keep my feet, if I lie on my back, keep my feet up, it helps keep the swelling down to hideous rather than, hideous deformity rather than, oh Lord, they're going to blow any second. I could probably apply for disability with Social Security, but I haven't yet for 4 reasons. One, I'm lazy. I hate doing paperwork and I hate mucking around with the government. I hate starting something new like it because I feel when I start messing with something like that, I feel like somebody sticking their unprotected hand into a still running engine that I know nothing about, especially. I don't know, am I about to stick my fingers into a couple of gears and, change my new name to Stumpy? But, I hate starting anything like that because, it goes on and there's always more to it than you expected. 2, because I learned long ago, if once you go on social, you're on a fixed income, and if you make more than a certain amount they allow you, 3, my estimated benefits for Social Security as they stand right now, about $700 a month, which is still about $300 below the poverty line. And when they, they don't pull this poverty line out of their rear ends. When they say the poverty line for a single person living on their own, is about $1,000, that's just what you need to, to be stable, to pay your rent and keep your lights on. That kind of thing. Keep ahead of your taxes and your bills. That's and I have to agree with their assessment. And I have been informed by also including lawyer, because they will. It's not even a question. It's almost like it's a default. You file, they deny you. At least the first 2 or 3, at least the first time, usually the first couple of times, and possibly 3, 4, 5 times. My parents, who have a host, who have paid, my parents, who have paid their entire lives into the system, both of them hardworking their entire lives, paid into the Social Security system, and they have a host of medical problems for each of them. My mother's medicine cabinet looks like a small pharmacy. They had to try something like, I think, 4 times before they finally got through, and got Social Security, disability, medical, whatever you want to call it. Me. So I'm sitting here thinking, I would have to go to all these incredible lengths just to get myself put on a strict fixed income, which would leave me worse off than if I had just struggled a bit harder and pushed my income up by myself. I don't know what OBS or XSplit are. Now you're talking about programs here. OBS. Let me look at this up. OBS. I have to look up the OBS and the XSplit. It took. You wouldn't know. We're going back to broad software. I tried this open broadcast software, XSplit. You would not believe what I go through. Just the setup I have, functional. As functional as it is. Okay, that XSplit broadcaster and XSplit gamecaster. It disturbs me that these 2 categories are separate. So what if I do a regular broadcast and I decide one day I want to do a game cast, do a quick, game critique or review or something, Maybe we can't do it. Your system is not set up for it, But anyway, I fiddled the faddle and tried multiple different programs, cobbled together in a dozen different ways, and I finally came up with this setup. With 2 little programs here, Adobe Flash Media and Minicam. Oh my. main problem we have with the internet right now. Google has no competition. Has no competition. Facebook has no competition. Tumblr. And they're all letting things go to crap because they too busy being politically correct to be competent. Oh my. I feel, pardon me, I'm feeling kind of on the raggedy end right now. I just, a little tired. There was a day when I could sit down, I could crack out 2 or 3 strips, 2 or 3 comic strips. Bang, bang, bang. There was a time I could sit down and crack out 3 or 4 drawings. Bang. Then again, I have been doing this more or less for 15 years, 17 years. No, actually, I started in the 90s. It was very late in the 90s. So, close to somewhere between 17 to 20 years. I have been doing online artwork, comics, that kind of thing. What does it tell you that I've got 20 years of comics, and I've only gotten almost up to 1,000 strips for Nip and Tuck. But even then, all my most productive stuff was back when I was starting out. Granted, the artwork was a lot worse than what I do today. I was an amateur, and I had a lot to learn, and years of practice before I even got marginally better. I fell in love with art in grade school when I was what was it, 5th, 6th grade. And I loved it because of class. I was good at it. I was nothing, I was a typical awful drawing kid, but I was good at it. I felt good about doing it. And where everything else was a grind and a slog, it was easy, and it was fun, it was easy, and I was good at it. I wasn't any prodigy or anything, but I was good at it, at least as good or better than my peers were. And the aesthetics of art, the philosophy of art, intrigued me and fascinated me. I had dreams for a long time of some maybe being a fine artist, professional, high artist, so to speak. Somebody who put paintings and sculptures and things up in museums. But I did sort of, after a certain time, I started hitting a wall on my technical skill. And it kind of frustrated me. I also noticed that over time that most of my drawing efforts were about making a picture that told a story. Not just drawing something that was sitting there and being beautiful, so to speak. I noticed that more and more I resorted to drawings because drawings could tell in briefly what a storyteller would take hours of writing to say. You know, I loved writing too. I loved stories. I loved reading. I was a book junkie as a kid, especially science fiction and fantasy, which kind of bothered my parents quite a little bit, because I was raised in a Christian house. I'm a Christian, and we were raised in a Christian household. And let's just say that the science fiction and fantasy communities are not exactly known, even back then, for being particularly friendly to Christianity or respectful of its values, which is terribly, terribly sad. And I realize that it comes out to this. I loved art, and I loved literature, writing, stories, and cartoons, comic strips were the intersection between the two. Sequential art, as Scott Adams called it. Yeah, sorry, just yeah. Well, drive safely, Freedy. Apparently, Freedy is driving home from the office. Well, he's not on. He's not right now. He says he has to leave because he's driving home from the office. He has to drive home from the office. So don't worry, he's not texting and driving. Good night. How did it get to that point? Texting and driving. I mean, phoning and driving. I could see people falling into that mistake, because the general idea is you're talking, you're not looking away from the road. The idea is you could just put the phone up to your ear and talk while you drive. No problem, right? Except that they found out that people were looking away from the road to dial their phone number, and they weren't paying as much attention to the traffic around them. All those problems. But texting and driving, how learning impaired do you have to be to think that playing with a little digital keyboard while you're driving is a feasibly safe idea? How on earth? How on earth do you get that dumb? That's like saying don't sit backwards in the driver's seat while traveling down the... don't drive your car steering with your feet. That's a bad idea. I remember my driver's ed course. They showed us some driver safety thing filmed in the 1950s. It started out with the usual. It showed Joe Driver, teenage driver, gets in his car and making mistakes and what he should have. At the end of the video, at the end of the film, he's gotten onto the freeway, and he starts drag racing with some stranger. He looks over, hey, and they start screaming down the road at a couple hundred miles an hour, and all of us were sitting there just dumbfounded that anybody would decide to go drag racing down the middle of the interstate. Just for the hell of it. Yes, teenagers will get it in their heads to do something that stupid, but really, you just couldn't. None of us could imagine having a reason for doing that. Just, these people who are concerned about our safety, they get, they try to license and they overshoot. They're going to message across that they destroy the message by acting like they think we're stupid, profoundly stupid. But then again, you got people that do things like this. What happened to this? What happened after my generation? I mean, I can't imagine anybody from my generation, pulling out a typewriter, while they're driving down the road. What? I just really don't know anymore about anything. I sit down and I just feel, I'm just sitting here feeling like all my energy has been tapped out. I kind of wonder if it's just the simple fact that I've been doing this for so long. That I can, it's so rare to do something different with what I do that I just lost the energy for it. Once in a while, something comes along, and you know, the spark returns. Know thyself, I suppose. Enthusiasm in a bottle. That would be something. Trying to decide if I need to go to the bathroom or not. Feeling a little bloated. Had some bacon and eggs. Yay, bacon and eggs for breakfast. Oh my. I am feeling it. I'll be right back in a minute or two. Just sit here and listen to the wind chimes. Ha 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 ha.